Good morning, everyone. This is Paula Harriss, and I have with me Dr. Julie Ledford from Hayesville, North Carolina. A beautiful place to be, right, Dr. Ledford?
Right.
And she has a practice there, and it's a beautiful practice. I love where your office is, the location, and it's really pretty. And how long have you been over there, Dr. Ledford?
I have been in Hayesville since 2011 when I graduated dental school.
All right. So, one of the reasons I wanted you on the call today is because you have done a phenomenal job with your practice in a few short years. I mean, you have a fantastic story, and just over the years getting to know you, you're just a wonderful person as well as an excellent dentist. So thank you for agreeing to be on the call with me today.
Oh, you're welcome.
So tell me a little bit about your practice. Tell me a little bit of your story. Like, how'd you get into dentistry, and why did you decide to buy a practice? Because a lot of people don't want to buy a practice these days. So tell me a little bit about your path.
I'll start with how I got into dentistry. I was in high school, and I shadowed in a public health dental clinic that serviced Medicaid children and pregnant mothers.
Mm-hmm.
It was really then that probably sparked my interest. I enjoy going every day, and I think it can be said that if you did the same procedure on every patient, it's going to be different because each person's different, and each individual case is different. And that was something that really grabbed my attention. And then I went to undergrad at Georgia Tech, and after that I applied to dental school, went to UNC at Chapel Hill, and graduated, like I said, in 2011. When I finished, initially I thought I wanted to go into public health, and we moved back to the area. My husband is from this area too, and there weren't any public health options available, so then I started looking into private practice. And that's how I initially met Paula, was with another practice that she consults for near me. And then I ended up working in two offices initially, and then ended up a year later purchasing the one of the two that I was working in.
Right. Okay. And so how would you describe the type of practice that you have?
We're a fee-for-service practice. We're in a small area. Let's see. I do comprehensive dentistry. I don't place dental implants. That's one thing I don't do, but I'll see all ages of patients. And we really try to provide as much as we can for our patients, especially in the area that we're in, because our closest referrals are a minimum of 45 minutes away. I mean, so you end up doing a lot of dentistry that I might not be doing if I were in a larger area. I guess as far as our practice goes, it's kind of unwritten at we'll do what we can for patients, but if I feel like you'll get better care from the specialist, hands down, you'll always be referred out. And patients understand that, and they're willing to drive too.
That's great. How many team members do you have?
I have 6 team members. We have 2 hygienists, 2 assistants, and 2 front office.
That's great. And I mean, I just want to highlight what you said at first. You're fee for service. That means no insurance contracts.
Yeah, no insurance contracts.
Which is a lot of doctors' dream practice. Not everyone, but some people would really enjoy not having the insurance hassle.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so that's a wonderful thing. Our topic today is really about personal development, developing your team, personal growth, and I really invited you to talk about that because you've amazed me with what you've done with your team on that level. And many times, probably people on the call hear me talk about leadership and management. Management is about the task, and leadership is about the people. And for you to be, out of school since 2011 and to already have grasped that concept of leadership, not just management, is phenomenal to me. So, I think one question we need to answer here is, why do we need to talk about developing your team? And I'd say the first thing that comes to my mind, and then you can tell me what you think, but I have a mantra that many people know, that personal growth precedes professional growth. And if you have team members who are not growing, it affects the growth of the practice. Do you kind of believe that, or what do you see about the purpose of why leading your team in development is so important?
Oh, absolutely. Yes. I think that personal growth definitely precedes professional growth. I remember when it was a year out of dental school, so I was a year into practice, and I went to, it was at the Hinman actually, and someone was talking, and he was like a really well-known speaker. And at the end of the end of the lecture, someone came up to the front of the room and they said, "This is how we do things." And basically they said, if everything is in line professionally, like if you're making the money, if you're where you want to be as a dentist, then everything else will fall into place. And I just remember, for me, that was such a turning point, and I was like, no, that's not it at all. And for me, I think I personally had to get where I needed to be before I could lead my team where they needed to be. And I've been to other seminars since then, and things that have stuck out to me have, one thing was, if you invest in your employees, like that's one of the best investments you can make. Like, and treat them like people. And if there are things going on at home, if they don't feel well, if they're not healthy, that's their job performance. That's going to affect every other area of their life. So I want them as whole and complete of a person as they can be, and that's what I'm there for. Yes, I'm their boss and I'm the dentist, but I'm there to make their life better too.
And that's amazing to me. And you have team members who are older than you as well, right?
I'm the young. No, I'm not the youngest anymore. But for a while, I was the youngest one there. Yeah, and some of my team members, it's so funny. I grew up with their kids. I mean, so it's pretty interesting. One of them worked in an office that I used to shadow in high school. I mean, so
wow, yeah. That's a big challenge. Have a lot of doctors transitioning, and then you have that, and you transition so well. That's another reason I want you on the call, is because a lot of the team members don't buy into the new doctor and the younger doctor or whoever it is, and you had a male owner, a senior male owner, and you took over as a female. So the team has really bought in to your leadership, and that's a wonderful thing. And I think this is part of the reason, is because you're tuned in to the personal growth part. So I guess one of the things we ought to do is define personal growth. I have a definition that I really like, that's maybe Marianne Williamson, I think, created this definition of breaking cycles that cause pain or don't help us win in life and cause ineffectiveness and dysfunction, and creating new patterns that cause peace. So does that kind of sum it up, or how would you define personal growth? What is it?
Yeah, I would say it would, to me, is being able to make progress as a complete individual. Finding your purpose. We've all got a different purpose, and that's what makes life fun and makes the world go round. Yeah, if we were all the same, it wouldn't be any fun for anyone. So.
Oh, I like that a lot. Making progress, because I think, one of my purposes in life is to help people where they're stuck, and I see a lot of people who get stuck, and they're going through those cycles, the same old things over and over again. I see team members like that. I was one of those team members for a while, and the practice I was in believed in personal growth, and it made a huge impact on my life. So I know John Maxwell, in his 5 levels of leadership, talks about level 4 out of the 5 being the best, people development, which is people following you because of what you've done for them. So do you kind of see that as a high level of leadership, or do you think it's more like I'm the boss and do what I say?
No, it's not I'm the boss and do what I say. Because don't grumble behind your back.
No, not really.
Yeah. Sure.
Yeah, that's that pulling the boss card, I call it, And
I think, the best like when you can challenge other people to do their best because they want to do their best, not because they want to please you, but they want that for themselves. And that, to me, is like pulling that out of people. That's what's important.
That's good, because they want to. And when it's the same thing with patients, case presentation. They're doing it because they want to, not just because you're trying to make them do it.
That's one thing. Is like, I never want to get to where I'm selling dentistry. I don't want to do that, because I want you to do it because you want it and because you understand why you need it. If you don't, then it's not going to work.
Right. Exactly. You're exactly right. So it's kind of a human nature thing, really. There's an article that that I have here on that Gallup did about employee satisfaction, and we have a generation who we're trying to keep. Turnover is huge in so many offices, and many doctors are struggling with that, and you're not really struggling with that. Is that the way you feel about it anyway? From my perspective, you're not.
No, I'm not. I mean, I have had, I've had turnover. I've had a hygienist leave who was there prior to me purchasing the practice, and he was with me for maybe like 4 or 5 years. But it was one of those situations where we have a wonderful hygienist. Now I feel like our team is in a great place because everyone who's there is on board. Mm-hmm. And it's not because I want them on board. It's because we all have a common goal, and that's to do the best for our patients. That's why we're there.
Yeah, exactly. And I think you hit the nail on the head right there with people want a meaningful, fulfilling place to work. I mean, we can make it fun for them, and that's important, but they also want to know that they're part of something larger than themselves. That's a typical human nature thing as well. And knowing what their purpose is. Why are we here? And so many times we're focusing on the production, we're focusing on the numbers, we're focusing on the schedule, and just getting the work done, and we don't step back and really look at why are we doing this anyway. And I love what you say about that. You tell your team, we need to treat people right. What is it that you say?
Well, I mean, because I work with you, I try to block schedule, and we have production goals, and there's things that you want to do. Yeah. But I've always said, if you treat people well, it will fall into place. And knock on wood, that's happened so far.
Yeah.
It needs to be done. Be convicted by your treatment planning. My assistants are more than willing to work through lunch if we're helping somebody out that really needs it and doing what really needs to be done. But if I'm just over treatment planning, they know it. So they're not going to be as willing to be on board with you. We've all got to be convicted by how we treatment plan because we're doing the best for that person.
That's a great point right there. When I first started in dentistry, we were doing large cases, and some of them were more than I made in a year. And I was like, why would anybody do that? So it took convincing me, and it took me learning about what was happening, how these patients' lives were changed by what we were doing. And then I was all on board, and I was just like that, what you're saying. So so what are some of the things that you do? Let's get down to kind of some nitty-gritty about what is it that you do in your practice. What are some strategies or things that you've done with your team that are in the personal growth realm? Can you share some examples?
I can. I'm a Christian, so my faith is really important to me. So yeah, I've been very open with my team about things that I've struggled with. And so I bought each of them The Search for Significance, that book, because it was a game changer for me. Yes. And some, there are team members who really don't read things like that, and that's fine. But there are some who do. And so I don't try to push anything on anyone, but really they know they matter to me.
Yeah.
By my actions or my words, they matter to me just as much as my husband and my kids do. I'm with them just as much as I am everyone else. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I read that book too, and I was so excited that day when you told me you were reading it because I'm like, oh, because that book made a huge difference. I'll say it again, Search for Significance by Robert McKee. If you want to know more about that book, let us know. But yeah, so you're offering them the opportunity, and not everyone's going to take it up, but
Yeah.
but would you like to tell us about the wedding for one of your team members?
Oh, yeah.
I just think that's cool if you want to share it.
Yeah. What do you? So one of our team members was with she and her partner had kids together. I guess they dated since they were like 15 years old, maybe. And they had 2 children together, middle school. Well, they were elementary school age at that point, but I think they'd been together like 20 years, maybe dating.
Yeah.
So she ended up started going to church, and she got married, and we threw a big party here at my house for her, pretty much a reception.
Yeah. So
yeah,
that was a great thing to share together.
Like the community came, and yeah, it was good.
Yeah, so they know that they have your support in their personal life. I think that's part of it.
Yeah, but it was, I mean, and we were happy for her, and yeah, it was good. Everyone pitched in for the wedding, and yeah.
Oh, yeah, that's sweet. That's a wonderful thing just to, you said something very important. First of all, you said you shared your own personal struggles, and that makes you believable and transparent. And it's not that and I know you well enough to know you weren't poor-mouthing, but it was like, here's what I'm going through and here's what I'm doing about it, right?
Yeah. And I would say that everyone on our team now, they're willing to change and willing to grow and willing to learn. And I wouldn't say that I haven't had my struggles, but I've had struggles with team members. I definitely have.
Mm-hmm.
But there are team members who work well with me, and those are people who are willing to learn and change and grow. The level, we can work on the skill level. That's fine. Have got to be able to be molded and open to change. I mean, dentistry is always going to change,
Yes.
So we've all got to be open to it.
That is a huge thing right there. I bet every dentist on the call listening to this is like, your team is willing to change? Are you kidding? Because that's one of the big things we struggle with. Harvard did a study about that and said, the number one reason we as humans don't change or teams don't change is because we don't deal with anxiety very well. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, I mean, I think any change can bring about some level of anxiety, but if you believe in what you're doing, change isn't bad. I mean, change is good.
That's good. Yeah, that's exactly right. If you believe in what you're doing, that's a key point right there. So what are some other things that you have done with your team or you do with your team that you feel encourages them to grow?
Well, I mean, I do nice things for my team. I do.
Mm-hmm.
We have goals that we set, and if we meet the goals, we all go get manicures and pedicures, or I get their cars detailed for them, or I get them massages, or I go get them some gift cards, or I bring them lunch, or just something, little things like that. I mean, it's not a lot, but just to let them know, hey, you're appreciated. This is something that you've earned, and I want to do something nice for you.
Right, exactly. And, I think the difference is for you is you said something that your team knows that they matter to you.
Yeah, but really what means more to them than any of that is when they stay late or when they work through lunch, that I personally go and thank them.
Mm-hmm.
That's what means, because they'll come back and say, thank you for thanking me.
Oh, yeah. Instead of that's just what's expected. It's your job,
Yeah.
And that's important because some doctors have done the gift cards or the massage thing, which is nice, but the teams just felt like, well, that was just an exercise. That was just a task that the doctor did for us. I still don't believe the doctor really cares about me. And that's the difference. And that's just not, there's not really a formula for that. I mean, that comes from your heart.
Yeah. They're not there to produce, and they're not there to make me more money. It is a business, and we have to run a business, but they're there because I care about them. But my hygienist, because she ends up with 2 or 3 holes in her schedule that day, doesn't mean any less to me as a person than she did with a full schedule. Right. Same goes for anybody else, too.
Right. Well, some doctors would be listening to this and go, okay, well, it sounds all real warm and fuzzy over there, and, that's not me. And so I bet she never does any evaluations and talks to them about their performance.
I do, yeah. We do evaluations every year. I do them. And even in the meanwhile, too, I had a situation with an employee, and I could tell that she was just not the same as she normally is. And so last week I brought her into my office and said, so I need to talk to you at the end of the day. We need to talk this afternoon. So she came in, and I said, what in the world is going on with you? And I'm just going to tell you what I saw and what I see. Mm-hmm. This is not you. So I need to know. And it was fine. I don't dread things like that.
Yeah.
Because I don't get the pit in my stomach because they know I care about them. I'm not there to be rough on them. I want to know what's going on because I want to help you. Mm-hmm. And that's what I told the employee. I said, don't get up. We are your biggest supporters right here, and we will encourage you, but you have got to help you. Mm. So, and conversations go well because their best interest is what you have.
Mm-hmm. And they know that.
Oh, absolutely.
I mean, they can feel it. That's just one of those things you have to feel. It's in that nonverbal of someone calling you on the carpet about something because they want to make you wrong or they're upset with you or I really care about you.
Yeah. But I think it's hard. Like, it's not always been like that for me. And I put this way, like, pain is only as strong as link. I have had wonderful staff right now. But I have not always had this with my staff. And it stinks to go through turnover. Mm-hmm. And I remember I first came back from maternity leave, and then the next month I had the hygienist leave. And here I am trying to find, I'm in a very small area trying to find someone to fill in. Mm-hmm. It's almost impossible, and let patients know. And it's not easy. But if you'll work through it, it will get better, and you can do it. Anyone can do it. Mm-hmm. If you care about them, they will pull together, and I couldn't imagine a better group of people to work with than what I have. I really can't. They are awesome.
That's wonderful, and I agree with you. I know them and have been over there to your office a couple times, so I definitely agree with you there. Well, let's just list a few things of personal growth, actual specific items here. I've got a list we can run off of things that we all need to work on. I see some on here that I could work with. Yeah, I need some help there. One is lack of discernment, good judgment, committing too soon, overlooking the warning signs. I'll run through a few of these. Over-accommodating, people-pleasing, approval addiction, that's a big one. Craving recognition can lead to problems. Suspicious, talking too much, being controlling, resisting authority, putting other people down, withholding. I see that a lot in dental offices. They're pouting or they're just given the silent treatment. They have to be right, can't admit their mistakes, blaming other people, don't commit. They're committed to something that's not going to work, or they're committed to their previous office or the previous owner. They think something's always better than what they have, and when things get tough, they kind of check out, and then fear of change. Are any of those things that you've had to work through personally, or your team is working through?
All of the above.
Yeah.
I think we're people. We're going to have faults and we'll have issues, but we just do our best to work through it. And I think for my team, as far as how we see our patients and how we see each other, we really try to see the best in each other, and honestly, even with patients, there are times where, sometimes patients can get really defensive, and I'll just stop and say, look, I'm not out to get you. I'm trying to help you. And I think if we can all just get that, we're just trying to help each other.
That's right.
It.
That's the bottom line. You're exactly right. Well, I think you've done a great job getting clarity with this, and it's part of your vision. It's part of your culture. It's part of who you are. And I have another doctor who has said that to her team. She said, you know what, if you're not interested in personal growth, you're probably not in the right place, because we are going to grow here. And I think it's important for the team to know that this is who we are, and this is part of our culture. I'll close with this and ask you if you have any closing things. John Maxwell has a little talk on loyalty, and I love John Maxwell as far as leadership goes, as you all know. But he says 3 things: treat people right, give them something that they say makes them a better person, and be consistent. Loyalty is a result of trust and dependence. So I'll say those again. Treat people right, give them something they say makes them better, and be consistent. Good words of advice. Anything else you'd like to say in closing, Dr. Ledford?
When I purchased the practice, I was just a year out of dental school, and I was probably in way over my head, to be honest. But
brave soul.
But it can be done, and I think whether you're just purchasing a practice or you've been working for 30, 40 years, whatever, it can be done. I think if you just get yourself in the right place and believe in yourself, they'll see it, and you don't really have to say a lot.
That's exactly right. And, I think you've done a great job establishing yourself as their leader, not just their friend.
Thank you.
So, well, thank you for joining me on the call today. I know that a lot of people are going to benefit from what you shared, and I'm very proud of you and honored to be your coach.
Oh, thank you. I'm glad to have you.
All right. Thanks, everyone. We'll talk to you soon.